What do Canadian employers need? Before I explain step by step how to look for work in Canada, it would be useful to discuss fairly briefly what it is that Canadian employers value the most in a worker they want to hire. This applies both to Canadian employees and temporary foreign workers. If you go to Amazon.ca and search for books on job search, you will find page after page listing books with advice on how to look for work and how to present your skills to your potential employers. Another good place to look for information and advice on how to look for work in Canada is lynda.com, where you can find dozens of useful videos. One can spend weeks and months studying the topic on job search, but for this video I will simplify everything as much as possible, still making it useful for foreign workers looking for work in Canada. So what is it that Canadian employers value the most in an employee? They want someone who has technical or hard skills for the job. They want to see soft skills required to perform the job well, and they need someone who is reliable and dependable employee, someone they can count on. One can say that reliability is also a soft skill. However, I would not agree. I think this is more a character trait, which is hard to change, whereas most soft skills can be learned. It is hard to make someone dependable if they are not dependable. Let's look at this in a little bit more detail here. What foreign workers definitely need are skills and abilities which are strictly related to the occupation they want to work in. For example, if you are looking for a job as a carpenter, definitely you have to be able to perform most or all of the duties which are listed under NOC description for carpenter occupation. These are the job duties I am talking about. If certification is needed for your occupation, then you need to have that certification. Hard skills, in this case, means skills required to work in a certain occupation. But that is not enough. You will also need so-called soft skills. Those skills are not strictly related to any specific occupation. They are important for practically all occupations. Here you can see what those skills are. Good communication skills which are needed for good teamwork. Reasonable passion and motivation for your job. Ability to take initiative and problem solving. Confidence and positive attitude. Integrity, which means treating others with honesty, fairness, and respect. In a Canadian workplace, employers focus more and more on soft skills because it is easier to train new employees to improve hard skills than to train them to improve their soft skills. Soft skills can also be learned, but that process may take longer and often it may not be successful. Third thing Canadian employers want from their employees is dependability and reliability. I did not put these under soft skills because I see it more as a character trait rather than something that can be learned. If someone is not reliable, it is very difficult to change that. How would you prove to your employer that you are a reliable and dependable worker? Simply stating that may not be enough. Give them concrete examples where you demonstrated your reliability and dependability. For example, give them an example from the past when you worked for the same employer for several years. Give them example when others depended on you, either in your work situations or outside of work. Provide employers with a track record of regular and punctual attendance. Give them examples when you accepted change of schedule or overtime work. I have created this section because it is of extreme importance that you understand what it is that Canadian employers want so that you can provide them with information which will convince them that offering you a job is a wise decision on their part. Whenever you communicate with your employers through email or over Skype or telephone, always keep in mind these three things. They want someone who can get the job done. They want someone who will work well with others, including your employer, and they need someone they can count on, someone who will come to work on time every day and do their job properly. So, is that all? Is that all I need to know for my communication with Canadian employers? No, this is not all. There is much more, but for practical purposes, if you keep these three things in your mind, chances are you will get your job offer. There are many other things that are also important, and some of them you can see on this slide. This is a profile of an ideal job seeker who is a foreign worker. So this ideal job seeker would be young, between 25 and 35. He speaks English well, or French if employer is located in Quebec. He has at least 1 year of work experience in intended occupation. He is in good health, has no criminal record, with some funds available to cover the costs involved in the process of obtaining work permit and transportation to Canada. Why is it that an ideal job seeker is not older than 35, you may ask? Here is the reason. Generally speaking, Canadian employers do not like hiring young people, those under 25, because they think persons under 25 are not reliable and often they do not have skills or work experience. Those over 25 but under 35 are preferred because they have energy and enthusiasm. Often they have completed college or university and they have some work experience already. After 35, people realize all this hype about careers and success often is nothing but a scam, so they start hating their jobs, which translates into poor work performance in many situations. But things get even worse after an employee hits the 45 to 55 bracket. In many situations, burnout is the term which describes how those workers feel. Basically, they start dealing with multiple chronic health conditions, and their employers never know whether they will show up for work or not. Of course, that is not always the case, but it is not far from the truth either. What about age 55? Well, if someone is unemployed at age 55 or later, he or she is in big trouble. They are too young to retire and too old to work at a pace many Canadian employers expect from their employees. Canadian government often pays employers to hire unemployed Canadians aged 55 or older. This does not apply to every single occupation, of course. If you are a university professor in your 40s or 50s, it is much better for your job search than if you are in your late 20s. But I am sure you get my point here, despite all simplifications. Now it is the time to move to the heart of our presentation. Step-to-step guide to job search in Canada.